Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brian from NY Blade EDC, and today I got a good one for you. I got the TRM, or Three Rivers Manufacturing Atom. I acquired this knife maybe about 3 weeks ago, and I've been carrying it and actually enjoying it quite a bit, surprisingly. I always thought these knives were very bland to the eye, so I never really picked one up until I got the handle one, and I says, you know, let's give it a try. So I purchased one from a friend of mine, got a good deal on one, and here it is. So I want to get into some numbers here for you. So the blade length is 3.5 inches, the handle is 4.6 inches, and an overall length of 8.25 inches. Let's get a size comparison for you with the Spyderco PM2. Very similar size, almost identical actually. And I like the PM2 size, so that's a good thing for this knife. We got the Benchmade 940 here, -1 specifically, slightly smaller. And then last but not least, I have a Ontario Rat number 1, just slightly larger. Very similar height here with the knives though, So if you like the Rat, the PM2, or the 940 length, you're gonna like the Atom, the length of the Atom. So just for shits and giggles, I got a little Gerber Paraframe mini one here, so there you go. Let's see what we got here. So this specific model is basically the base model, which is G10 and the 20 CV that you typically get on the Atom. So the blade steel does not change when you buy this knife. As you can see there, TRM USA. These are manufactured in Three Rivers, Massachusetts. Very big plus for me. I like USA made stuff, so that was a big plus for me. The scales are G10, like I said, but you also have a ton of different options, you know. You have micarta, as I have OD green ones here. These ones are gonna be going on here soon, so I can't wait to put them on because I put them over the other day, and I just like that OD green micarta, so they'll be going on pretty soon. I just completely forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so back to the scales. Putting these on are astronomically, like, way better than any other knife. You don't have to take the whole knife apart. You just take that screw, the 2 clip screws, and that screw right out. You don't have to mess with the pivot or nothing. So you don't have to readjust the knife when you take the scales off, like you do with, like, say, the PM2. Every time I want to take that scale off, I got to take that pivot screw out. And it gets annoying. I have a system down with the PM2, so I'm fine with that, but that is another plus for this knife. You don't have to take the whole thing apart. You don't have to fully disassemble it just to put new scales on it. So with that being said, I recommend you always have at least 2 sets of scales, because you can change these out like you change clothes, you know. Take that off, put that on. So very easy for that. And then another accessory that you can get with TRM Atom is their O-ring set. You can get different colors. This one's got, I believe they call that, I think, the rust. Yeah, rust right there. Red is the rust. And then I got a black one on that side. And you got a blue and a white in there. But just completely forgot that the scales, you do get micarta, G10, carbon fiber. They do have titanium, and I believe that's it actually. G11. I saw a G11 coming out soon, which is, I believe, another sort of similar to G10, just minor differences. I don't know. I need to learn that stuff, but I want to get into talking about the actual, like, how I feel this knife is good at being used. Like, what's it good for? I believe this is a very niche kind of knife. It's a very thin blade stock and very thin overall knife. So I would not be hard cutting, like making carving or doing anything with this knife. I think this is just a straight up cardboard cutter, tape, maybe zip ties here or there, and that's what it's very good at. You know, I've cut some cardboard with it. I've done some tape, obviously, some zip ties, like I've said, and it's handled it flawlessly due to that very thin blade stock with that nice, very high grind there. I believe this is not a hollow grind. I didn't look that up before this video, but it's a nice grind. Keeps that thin edge. It's about 19 thousandths behind the edge, which is very thin. Not the thinnest, but very thin. But what makes it such a good slicer is it maintains that thinness. So it doesn't go from very thin to a thick blade stock. It maintains thin blade stock there. So it's a very good slicer. And that's why I find this to be a very niche kind of knife, like I just said. So the rating system I've got on this, I think this one did pretty well. For size and practicality, 3.5-inch blade with that 4.6-inch handle and an overall length of 8 1/4. That is in my wheelhouse of the perfect size. Like I said, with the PM2, that size is my favorite size. You know, you get a good size blade, get a full size handle there, put your hand on. I don't have the biggest hands, I don't have the smallest hands, got very average size hands. So size and practicality, that blade is good for almost anything you need it to do. Handle, you got a good grip on it. So I gave that a size practicality rating of 17 out of 20. One of the best, to be honest with you. And not much else to be said there. It's just a good size. It's thin, it's light, it's a good EDC. Let's put it that way. And then on to ergos. Ergos is kind of very plainish. There's nothing fancy going on. There's no front choil choke up on. There's nothing that makes it like, you can slide up and down on the knife, but it feels good right when you get that little hump there in the palm of your hand and just hold it like that. That's where it really wants to sit nicely. You can do I call it the chef's grip with this very well, because it is a thin knife and it sits in the palm nice. So ergos, I went with a 12 out of 20, just because it's nothing fantastic. It doesn't feel horrible, but yeah, like I said, there's not really much to say there. So 12 out of 20. Fit and finish, another kind of bland. TRM does a good job with this knife, but they could do better. So this is constructive criticism. If anybody from TRM is watching, I love this knife, but these edges, I see you guys tried to chamfer them, but you didn't really contour them enough. This edge is not sharp, but it's in the hand. You feel it. Definitely digs into the hand a little bit, a little too much for my liking, but it's livable. It's not the end of the world. Just something I'd like to see on like maybe the next iteration of the Atom. Maybe more contouring there. That's about it. The screws and everything fit into their little sockets there nicely and nice and tight. There's no burrs on the screws at all. This clip is seated in there, that little groove there, very nicely tight. This blade is not centered. Actually, let's see. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, there you go. It's not centered. It is favoring the show side on this. It's favoring this way, and I'm not sure if that's due to the way they manufactured it or if it's due to the liner actually pushing the blade over. I have not messed with this pivot since I got it. That is how it is. So the blade centering might be due to that liner right there pushing the blade. So we'll have to figure that out once I take this apart and actually fiddle with it. We'll see. So fit and finish, got a 12 out of 20. Action. So the action, as you can see, is nothing wrong with it. It flies open, nice. But it's also like finicky, you know? It's every once in a while it'll drop shut like that, and then like that perfectly. And then you'll get the time where it wants to stick And I don't know, again, if that's something that I need to take this apart and clean it or what, but this has a very plain Jane, run-of-the-mill action. It'll fly open, drops to your finger, and then you push it shut the rest of the way. Or you can do the whole slap it shut there. But either way, it's not an addicting action. You can fidget with it. I wouldn't say it's a fidgety knife. It flies open pretty nicely. It is on, I believe, phosphor bronze washers that you cannot see in there because it's nested so tightly, which is something that I should have mentioned in Fit and Finish, that those nested liners are fitting in that G10 very nicely. But back to what I was saying, the action. Not very fidgety. You got very run-of-the-mill action. Very similar to the Rat, more finely tuned, obviously, because you're getting like a $13 Walmart knife versus a $200 knife with a nice smooth drop. So price point, this is where I kind of cringe. I don't really wince to say, I kind of cringe a little bit when you tell me this is a $200 knife. Yes, made in USA. You're getting good materials. You're getting 20 CV steel, which is one of my favorite steels. You're getting a fantastic grind, nice thin blade. Ergos. The G10 is nice, but like I said, that milling or the chamfering on there is sharp. So I would have liked to see this at like the 165-ish, 170-ish range, and that would have been just fine. You know, I don't know. I think 200 is a bit much for this knife. You know, like I said, you get the options of adding different color scales. You get the carbon fibers, the titaniums. You get the O-rings with it. Maybe that's worth it for you, but for me, I think 200 is a bit much for what this knife is. You kind of got to baby this knife. That's the one thing. This knife is more of just a cutting knife. Like, I do not really hard use my knives, but sometimes I get a cut where I have to do a carving motion, and I don't really feel comfortable doing that with this thin blade. So this is strictly if I know I'm just gonna have a light weekend where I'm just gonna cut some tape, maybe a zip tie or two. That's when I'll carry this. But so overall, out of the 5 categories, you add them up, 17, 12, 12, 11.5, and 10.5, you get an overall of 63 out of 100, which is right in the middle. Get 2 thumbs up. I like this knife. Give it a try if you haven't tried it. That's the one thing. I never tried it, and I always looked at it, and I thought it was plain, which it is, but when you get it in hand, you like it. It's a good knife. So 63 out of 100. I want to thank you guys for watching. Have a good one. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Leave a like, comment, message me if you got something you want me to review. I'll answer you pretty quick. So have a good one, guys.